this video, we're checking out the Danchuk Tri-Five Nationals in Bowling Green, Kentucky. It's one of my favorite events of the year. It's 55, 56, and 57 Chevrolets, all sorts of different build styles, gassers, hot rods, restored cars, cars with history, tons of cool stuff. So let's go check out some of my favorite stuff from day one. The very first thing I saw the moment I walked in the gate was this 56 Chevrolet two-door hardtop. Now you'll see that all of the trim holes have been filled in. No stainless trim on the side of it. It's had a couple of other modifications. The front bumper's removed. It's got custom taillights in the back. And then this old paint job is still hanging in there. And then even the hand lettering is old school. This is from 1966. And I plan on doing a full feature on this car. It's got a ton of cool history. Now, this wasn't a record-setting car. This wasn't a big class winner. And it wasn't anything like that, but it does have a cool story, and I want to share that with you. But I do want to do a full feature on this thing, more so than just this walk around. So stay tuned for that. Next, I made my way into the drag racing pits, and the very first car I saw was this rough and ragged 56 Chevrolet. This belongs to Mike Bellina, and he puts on a show with this car. This thing is known across the country as a wild and crazy wheel stander. Now, it doesn't have an engine in the back or any kind of crazy weight transfer device. This thing just hooks and books. And you'll see when I show you the pass that he made in this car, it's all over the place. This thing will stand straight back on the back bumper, and then it'll make a wild and crazy pass. You can see he's just driving the wheels off of this thing. But the cool part to me is that it's got magnesium spindle mount wheels on the front. Those are early American torque thrust wheels, probably mid-60s. Really nice pieces, and he is absolutely abusing them every single time he makes a pass. Next is a 1957 Corvette. Now this thing has got old school gasser features inside and out. You'll see under the hood it's got a small block Chevy with mechanical fuel injection, tons of old school components in there. And inside you got a chrome roll bar, you got the old school tack, the old gauges, tons of vintage speed parts here. And then just overall you can see those flared fender wells on the back, the cheater slicks, the Kragers. This thing has it all. One of the cool features for this year's event is they had a special parking area for prior top 25 winners of this event. And they put them all in one spot where you could really take a good look at them. There are some spectacular cars in this collection. And here are just a few of the highlights, including this incredible 55 Chevrolet Gasser, Kragers, Firestones, tunnel ram with 2.4 sticking out of the hood. Perfection. I'm also loving this low-slung 55 drag car. This thing is incredible. So much detail on this car, and it just sits flat on the ground. One of my favorites out of this collection is this 56 Chevrolet 150. Again, stance is perfect, tire and wheel combination perfect, and it has the slickest coat of black paint on it you've ever seen. Of course, I had to check out the swap meet. Tons of vintage parts, mostly Tri-Five Chevy parts, imagine that. But a lot of cool vintage speed parts and old drag racing parts. And the first thing that caught my attention was this 56 Chevy fiberglass one-piece front end. It's rough, but it's cool. I'm also liking this 55 Chevrolet Project. Now, this thing, again, rough, but see that price, $5,500, and you get a fiberglass front end. It's already got the quarter panels radius, but this thing needs a lot of work. There's a lot of missing pieces. It's rusty, it's rough, but it's got some bones. It's got some history. This is an old school hot rod for somebody way back in the day. It could be somebody's project, and it'll probably find a new owner this weekend. Here's another collection of cool stuff, a 55, a 56, and a 57 station wagon, and then another 55 wagon up on the trailer with a couple of small block engines. Cool stuff everywhere you look in the swap meet. And that includes this 57 four-door station wagon on a trailer behind this killer panel truck. This thing's got cool patina. I'm assuming it runs and drives pretty good if it's pulling that trailer, but just such a cool combination with that 57 on the back. Alright, check this thing out. 55 Chevrolet two-door post, blown injected big block Chevrolet. This thing is killer. It's sitting real low. If you look inside of here, it's got a really cool custom upholstered seat, and then in the back, a baby seat. That is amazing that this blown and injected big block car has got a baby seat in the back. The Blue Bayou car is a crowd pleaser, and it is a beautiful AA gasser. That means it's supercharged. This thing does long burnouts, wheel stands, and it runs pretty fast. The Shake, Rattle, and Run team is on hand with two spectacular drag cars. One is this modern Pro Mod build, big block Chevrolet, big nitrous system, big time horsepower. And then the second one is this historic car, two-door hardtop car. Again, big time horsepower. You see that Linko in there. This is a really cool piece. Both are very, very nicely built cars. Both big money pieces. And both of them run way down in the fours in the 8th mile. One of the coolest displays in the pits is the junior stock class. Now these guys got together. They all park together. They all run together. And these cars are really cool. Most of them are station wagons or sedan deliveries, which was very popular back in the 60s because that put them in a lower class, something like N stock or M stock or O stock, because these things had small cubic inch engines, smaller horsepower, big weight, and this was highly competitive. These four-door cars, these station wagons, they were all running up against each other back in the 60s. And NHRA called it junior stock. That meant anything that wasn't A stock or super stock. So these classes were full of variety, tons of cool cars, and a lot of these cars on display have major history. And we're going to go into more detail on that soon, but I wanted to show you just a brief overview of some of the cars on display. And not only are they on display, but they actually go out and race these things. They're out there running exactly what they would have run back in the day. Check out the paint on this 56 Chevy. Now this is the ultimate street freak. It's got huge tires under the back. It's kind of got a mixture of gasser and 70s show car details, and this paint job is just wild and crazy. That's it for today's highlights, but stay tuned for more action from the Danchuk Tri-Five Nationals. I'll be here all weekend long checking out all the historic cars, the cool gassers, and anything that's got a story, so stay tuned.